So the question is there a Republican that would be better than Byron Donalds, who we're basically looking at having as Byron Donalds? And so you hear about this guy coming out, this Fishback, oh, he's a Republican, but he's anti-Israel. And so it's like, okay, well, that's better than, it isn't. His stuff is off the wall. He believes in a sin tax. Please.
Okay, can you explain what that means?
Well, he wants to tax people for things that he considers sinful. You know what I mean? Like a sin tax. It has to do with punishing women for things like prostitution. He's like, yeah.
Okay, so the guy he's definitely giving away closet homosexual vibes. There's no question about it.
Total misogynist. Total misogynist.
And comes from that. But what I also think is important is you have to.
No, not syntax. Sin tax.
You're thinking that's the same thing. Syntax? No. Separate.
Like syntax is a good thing. Yes, syntax is a good thing.
Yes, exactly.
Syntax is not. It's judgy and creepy and very like preachy and churchy, and it does not belong in our system of governance.
Now, don't get me wrong, and I actually agree with this. I actually think that OnlyFans is terrible. And one of the other unheralded aspects of OnlyFans is the fact that it is run by a Zio Jewish guy who absolutely 1,000% is involved in trafficking women. So the idea that that's even a thing is ridiculous. And if you look into the origins of OnlyFans, it was never supposed to be like this.
And for people asking if he defines the sins, he started going down this whole concept with OnlyFans and the way he was, what was he wanting to charge them on that or fine them or something? I don't know. Yeah. It was very preachy and creepy. And I didn't,
No, and again, don't get me wrong. I am actually, again, you guys who know me, I am very libertarian in most of my politics. I believe prostitution should absolutely be legal. I don't see any, if that is.
I said prostitution when we started. I didn't realize it was OnlyFans. I specifically said he wants to put a sin tax on prostitution. I am against anybody calling what anybody else does a sin and deciding who they can and cannot tax based on their values. Yeah, no, get the hell out of here with that.
Yeah. And on top of everything else, the biggest issue with prostitution is that it's a criminal enterprise and pimps are criminals, period. So there's, like I said, there's like different layers.
Somebody profiting off of somebody else's body, that's a problem. Correct. Somebody profiting off of their own body is none of my business if they're a consenting adult. Okay, so that's the difference. So yes, pimps, gross. Prostitution by a consenting adult person, whether male or female, that's their business. Correct.
That's your business. Do what you want.
Right. That's a different story. Yes.
So here's the first layer. There were many clips that I could go with, but this is the one that I think in some respects, we're going to do it in a two-part here, and then we're going to get to the main part. This is Fishback recently sitting down for an interview, and this is how he's built himself a nice populist movement.
So this is recent.
This is very recent.
Okay.
Yes, are frustrated with the Democratic Party establishment, but they're also really pissed at Republicans who just whine, put out strongly worded letters. There's no arrest. There's no accountability. Our country is being auctioned off before our eyes, and all Republicans can seem to do is go on Fox News and make jokes about Kamala Harris or Barack Obama instead of actually fighting for the heritage and birthright of our nation.
Now, he's absolutely correct about this because both corporate-owned parties, our duopoly system, is owned by the same people. There is no distinction with a difference. The only difference is whether or not you say, I'm pro-choice versus I'm anti-choice, or I am pro-gun, not gun. The one thing we're learning, especially with Israel, is that the margins are so thin you can't see them. That's why they have conniption fits about, oh my God, you mean to tell me you're not going to support super duper insane Zionist Gavin Newsom for president? Why? Because he'll do genocide nicer? Is that basically what your argument is? You'll feel better about it? That you could go to sleep at night knowing that the person who's doing it isn't half-cocked saying shit on social media? Is that what it's about? Probably. But then you take it a step further.
So he's all Mr. I'm standing up, America first. I'm standing up against sending money to Israel now. But then we're going to go back a few years.
Hold on a minute. This goes even further. Fishback is not only challenging the corporate establishment, he's even going after the Epstein files.
Oh.
We stopped public executions. We stopped public hangings in 1924. I would bring them back for the people in the Epstein files and any sex trafficker. I don't want 20 years on death row. I want fair trial. I want full due process. And when they are convicted, I want a public hanging Sunday high noon for the whole world to see. This is what we do to you. I can't go back and obviously stop these things from happening. But my pledge, if elected the 47th governor of Florida, is I will spare no resource to make sure that every Floridian identified in the Epstein files is investigated and brought to justice.
First of all, his cadence is extremely deceptive. He is extremely rehearsed. Everything he throws out there, and while I will not disagree with what he's suggesting, I absolutely 1000% agree that the wood chipper, as Lee Argent suggests, for child sex traffickers and molesters, etc. Fishback Mount. Yeah, well, I said he's probably a closet homosexual. But even if he's not, he gives off that energy of I am going to show my bravado, my machismo, my masculine energy, and I'm going to tell him that, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, that's all well and good until you dig into his history. Now, the thing that I find so interesting about this is that it'd be one thing if this was coming from, say, 10 years ago. He's had some type of a political odyssey. He doesn't really feel this way anymore.
People do evolve. Look, people evolve. But
I would imagine that just about everybody who is here in the chat tonight has probably seen at least one episode of Jubilee. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Jubilee is stupid, because you can't really have a conversation and debate with anybody over the course of 60 to 90 seconds. Now, some people are quick on their feet and can do things like that. Mehdi Hassan comes to mind. That's his style. Point is, you get these groups together and then they end up being seen by millions of people on social media. Does anybody remember this one with Destiny by any chance? After October 7th.
Okay, so this was after October 7th. Okay.
Hundreds of billions of dollars a year more. That emboldens them to give their proxies weapons, money, and the vigor to attack the Jewish state. And that is unacceptable in the international community. Let me tell you something about President Trump. Let me tell you something about President Trump.
The only reason that Hamas attacked Israel.
Honestly, I just have to say right off the bat, I can't decide who sucks more helium before they get in front of a camera. Is it Destiny or Lil Ben Shapiro? I can't. Honestly, they both give off that same vibe.
Let me ask you a question. Can you please explain to me how we go about doing such a thing? Why do you think that this is necessary?
Okay. Did Fishback not think that this was not going to come back to bite him in the ass?
I just can't believe how recent this is that he thought he could get away with this. But yeah.
Getting caught, not with you. This is
getting caught sitting there spewing Zionist talking points when you just basically have been campaigning that you're the anti-Israel candidate. Yes, I think that's very deceiving.
Not only spewing it to him, but spewing it to the person that the greatest Jewish intellectual of our time refers to him as such a fantastic moron. Thank you, Mr. Finkelstein. He calls Destiny a fantastic. Destiny supports the state of Israel. So I guess he's just not going far enough. So Fishback, when his true colors are shown, is basically saying, oh, I know what's going on here. You're not supporting the state of Israel enough. You see, when you find a lane, and the lane that looks open is a lane that involves going against Israel, because again, it's inevitable that the state of Israel is going to collapse, despite what people will say. A chameleon, a politician, a snake oil salesman, if you will, is going to find his way to a path that's going to lead to some success. But what happens when the skeletons start coming out of the closet? You think this is the only thing that Fishback is hiding?
Let this play, and so we see the total difference between where he was just a couple of years ago and where he is now.
You think the only reason they'll be able to do is because of increased Iranian funding?
Who funds Hamas?
In part, it's Iran, but Hamas gets funding from all sorts of different adventures.
Who funds Iran?
They get money from Qatar, right?
Who funds? Okay. Who funds Hamas? Of course they do.
Right? Probably
Who gives
more money.
more money?
I think.
No.
It might have been Qatar, I think, actually.
Well, they give them a Ritz-Carlton hotel room. But listen.
No, they were transferring a whole lot of money to the Gaza Strip. That was one of the big things, one of the big scandals that Netanyahu was involved in, was allowing that money to pass through to the Gaza Strip
Stephen,
under
let's
his
just do some
supervision.
quick logical reasoning here. If Iran gets more money, that's good for Hamas, right? You agree on that? Come on.
Broadly speaking.
Yeah, come on. Just concede one thing, Stephen.
This clip doesn't necessarily show him being so pro-Israel per se, but I'm going to take your word for it that that's what he was sitting there and
let's go to the beginning again. Let's see the beginning again.
Making hundreds of billions of dollars a year more. That emboldens them to give their proxies weapons, money, and the vigor to attack the Jewish state. And
he's talking about funding Iran to give their proxies. Right. Correct.
So instead of talking about the fact that we are dealing with a Zio state and that the reason why Iran has funding and is again, it's like it's backwards. There is still this belief, and they still throw it out there, that if it wasn't for Iran and if it wasn't for Hamas, everything would be fine in the Middle East. This is completely downplaying and disregarding the fact that we have a genocidal Zio state in the middle of a desert that never belonged to them in the first place. And that all of the problems were never superseded by anything other than the creation of the Zio state. So
I guess I understand he's saying from a certain perspective, like he's definitely taking the Zio talking point that's, Iran is the bad guy. We have to go after Iran. We have to go after Iran. But that is not necessarily completely contradictory with him saying he doesn't want to support Israel financially right now. I mean, do you know what I'm saying?
I don't agree, because what you see here is the context of we have to stop Iran, otherwise the Jewish state is not, again, you can't flip your language in such a dramatic way.
So, right. So I see what you're saying. So you're saying that you can't be so supportive of the Jewish state that you're arguing that way about Iran and then turn around and say, we shouldn't be supporting the Jewish state.
You know what matters to me when it comes to the country of Iran, ladies and gentlemen? It's one of the few countries left on the map that does not have a Rothschild's bank in their country. And anytime you look at any of the countries that don't have one, see what the attitude is of the State Department and the state of Israel. I can assure you, they're an enemy.
Yes.